Hey there, my name is Kelly Dale with Off the Beaded Path. Today I want to show you a brand new project called the Hoopla Earrings. So if you were able to make the Key for the Cure project from the last video I did, it's really going to help you with this project. This project we're going to be using two different sizes of a seed bead. We're going to be using a size 11 and a size 15 seed bead to actually stitch up a really pretty hoop earring. Now here's a few things that you need to know. Number one is I found that the Toho seed beads work best for this project. Now you can definitely use Mayuki, but the Toho seem to work best. Also, it doesn't matter as far as your brand, but one thing you want to be careful of is when you do, where our base is going to have 15s on it, and it doesn't matter if those 15s are squared off or rounded or whatever, because I know some Tohos are a little bit squared off. But the thing that will matter is when you go back to embellish and fill in some of the holes, you want to pick out the beads that you have that are most rounded for the project. Because if you get some that are more squared off in your 15s when we're plugging in those little holes, it's going to make it a little wavy and not look as good. So just be aware of that. The other thing that you need to kind of be aware of is that we are going to be using a hoop earring today. This is a 35mm hoop, and I'll kind of show you the sizing of that in just a second. But these hoops, the ones that I have right now, are iron hoops, and I have more coming. So as of hopefully by the time you see this video, I will actually have maybe some steel hoops or stainless steel hoops coming in as well. But you're going to be covering up pretty much the whole entire hoop except for the one little piece that goes into your ear. So in total today, you are going to need 3 grams of a size 11 seed bead, 1 gram of a size 15 seed bead. You are going to need 66 2mm fire polish beads. Now I have found after doing lots of samples of this and testing out different beads, the 2mm fire polish is going to work the absolute best. You can use a 3mm bicone bead, but I do not recommend a 3mm fire polish because it's going to make it a little bit too wide and loose as you stitch, okay? So you're going to need 66 of those. You're going to need 6 yards of thread. I've used 1G thread and Fireline. I've tested both of them, and both of them work really well for the project. If you're going to use Fireline, make sure it's a 6-pound Fireline. The other thing you'll want to make sure you have is a size 12 beading needle, as that's going to be the best for this project. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the size of the hoops. I'm going to show you the samples and show you the beads that I used for my samples, and then we'll get started. So the first thing I want you to see is about the hoop itself. This is an American quarter, and you can see the sizing of the hoop compared to the quarter. Now this is the sizing compared to the hoop itself. This is the sizing compared to it when you get the actual beadwork on it. So that will give you an idea of the sizing of the hoop itself and then the finished hoop that you will be making. So this first sample, this is actually going to be the one that I show today in the video. This is going to be using the Perma Finish Matte Galvanized Peach Coral Toho. So that's going to be everywhere you see the peachy color. It's going to have 15-0 nickel. Now those are going to be here to the inside, and then you'll see those on the edge. The 2mm pink yarrow is of course, the really pretty pink beads that I have on here on the embellishments. You can kind of see that. Okay, another sample. This is actually one of my favorites. This is using the Perma Finish Turquoise. This is like the Perma Finish Matte Turquoise. You've got your 15-0 nickel. Again, they're going to be here to the inside and along the edges. And then the 2mm opaque avocado fire polish beads will be here that you will see on those hoops. So that's going to be those. And then the third sample that I have to show you today is the using the frosted metallic antique silver Toho beads. Those are going to be here. Again, the nickel is going to be here on the back and on the sides. And then I have used the new 2mm metallic shaded spruce fire polish bead. So you'll be able to see there that color. Let me move the little yellow sheet here so you can see. There we go. So it's a really, really pretty new blue that Starman Company has come out with. Now, in today's video, I am going to be going step by step on my written pattern for these Hoopla earrings. This pattern is a 8-page pattern, and I do include the color samples and the color numbers and even the SKU numbers that we use here in the store for these samples. And so I will be going step by step with my pattern as we work today. So to start, I'm going to pick up 115 and 3 11s. I'm going to pull these beads all the way down and just leave a very, very short tail. I'm going to go up through all 4 of these beads once again from the tail upward. I'm going to hold them in place as I pull the thread. Now, if you just pull the thread straight like this, you're going to see that they do not form a circle and that you have a thread that runs across it. You want to hold these threads and pull them together like this to kind of pull these together in a little circle or a little box. And at that point, you're going to take and tie these threads together. I'm going to go up through the 15 seed bead right above the knot. Every box we do is going to consist of 4 beads. As you can see in this first box, we have 115 and 3 11s, so that is going to be my 4 beads. Now, I have my 115 that I'm coming out of. That is going to be the first bead of my box, so I need to pick up 3 more 15s to make a box of 4. I'm going to come right up through that same bead to make a circle. And then I'm going to go through 2 of the 15s I just added, which are going to be this bead and this bead. Now, as you go through these, only go through 1 bead at a time and hold the thread or hold the bead as you pull the thread through. This is really going to help in your tension as you work to make this piece. And you can see I'm pulling the thread straight the way it's coming out of the bead. So you want to pull straight down. If you pull out like this, you can see that you're pulling the beadwork apart. You always want to pull straight down, and that will help you really tight on the tension. So I'm coming out of 1 bead, so I'm going to pick up 3 more. Now these are going to be 11s. Okay? And you're coming out of the bottom of that bead, so we're going to come right back down through that same bead to make a circle. And again, I'm just going to pull this thread to make my 3rd right angle weave box. To get into position for the next row, I have to go through the 3 11s that I just added. And again, like I said, I'm only going to go through 1 bead at a time. So 1, 2, and 3. All right. For the next row, I'm going to pick up, I'm already coming out of 1 of the 11s. So I need 3 other beads. So I'm going to pick up a 15 and 2 11s. I'm going to come back through the same bead that I'm coming out of so that it makes a circle. I'm going to hold that bead in place, and I'm going to pull the thread. And at this point, this 15 is going to look way above these, but don't worry, they're going to go down. So at this point, I'm going to go right through the 15 that I just added. I'm going to hold that bead in place and pull that thread straight up. Now I need two 15s. You have a 15 here and a 15 here. These are going to make up two beads of your box, and I've got two other 15s. I'm going to come to the top 15 here of the box below where I'm at, and I'm going to go back through that bead going from left to right. And let me flip it over here so I can get through there. There we go. So left through right through just that top bead. Hold those in place and pull. Okay, so at this point, it just kind of looks like a jumbled mess, and we're fixing to fix that. So we're going to go through the 15 right above where my thread is exiting. So it's going to be this little side one right here. Okay, and again, I'm going to put my finger and pull straight up. Okay, we're going to go through the two 15s that we just added, which are going to be this one and this one. So holding it in place, I'm going to pull that thread. And then I'm going to come down through this one because that's where the bead is pointed. Now you can go through these two at a time. That's kind of the lazy man's way. And if you do it that way, just be aware that your beadwork will not end up tight like you need it to be. So you really, really just want to go through this one bead at a time. Okay, next thing. We're going to go through the 11-0 to the left, which is going to be this 11-0 right here. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pull this through. Okay. Now, I already have two beads to my box. I have this 15 and this 11, so I'm going to pick up two more 15s, and I'm going to come down through this little side 15 here of that box. So just the one bead. Hold this, pull your thread straight. Okay. And then I need to go through 3 11s. So I'm going through this one, and this one so that I can be coming out of the top. So I'm gonna, like I said, again, this is going to seem like, oh my God, she's saying the same thing over and over and over again. But I say this to help you and to drill it into you because it's really, really going to help you with your tension and then this project turning out correctly. Okay, and I noticed I just had a little knot in my thread, so let me fix that very quickly. So now I'm ready for my next box. So it's pretty much the same thing whether you start over here or over here. We're going to start out with an 11 and two 15s. I'm going to come back through the 11 to make a circle, holding that bead in place. Then I'm going to come through the 15 right above where my thread is coming out. Again, we have a 15 here, and then if you pull this back a little bit, you can see the 15 right here on the top of this little previous box. So now that I'm coming to the right, I'm going to go through that bead from right to left. Pull that on through. And then we're going to go up through the 15 right above where the thread's coming out. Hold that bead in place. Through the two 15s I just added, which are going to be this 15 and this 15. And then I'm going to go through the 11-0 to the right. I'm going to pick up 2 11s. I'm going to come back down through the 15. And then, whoops, let me grab it here. Sorry, guys. Get it here. And then at this point, I'm going to have to go through the 3 11s that I'm going to have there now. There we go. Okay, try it again. Okay, so I'm coming out of this 15. So I'm coming through 1, 2, 3 11s. When you get ready to start a new row, you always have to be coming out of one of these top 2 11s here to make your row. So I'm going this way and hold that bead in place. Then I'm going up through, hold that bead in place, and then through this 11. So at this point, if you want to make sure you've done it right, you will have 3 boxes on the right. So 1, 2, 3. Then 3 boxes in the middle, and that's 1, 2, 3. And then 3 boxes here on the left. 1, 2, 3. All right, so I'm going to do a couple more rows here just to go over one more time. So I'm coming out of the 11. I'm going to pick up a 15 and 2 11s. Come back through that same bead to make a circle. Then we have to go up through the 15 right above where the thread is exiting. And it's that 15 we just picked up. And again, you see me put my finger on it so it'll stay tight as I work. Now 2 15s. I need to be coming out of this little 15 right here on top. So I'm going to come back through that bead, coming from left to right. Get it in there. There we go. Okay. Pull that thread through. Then I'll go through the 15 right above where the thread is exiting. Through the 2 15s that I just added. And you can see here how my thread just got caught and pulled back this way, and you can see how much it loosened that bead up. So you really want to be careful to keep it nice and tight. Okay, then I'm going to go through the 11 to the left. Okay, I'm going to pick up 2 11s. I'm going to come down through the little 15 here to the side. Hold that in place. And then again, to start the next row, I have to be coming out of that top 11 there. So I'm going to go through 1, 2, 3 11s. Okay, then 2. And 3. Okay. So now you are ready to start the next row. This is the last row I'm going to do for you here on camera. So it's going to be a 15 and 2 11s. I'm going to come back through the same 11 that I'm coming out of to make that circle. And then to do the next box, we have to step up through the 15 right above where the thread is exiting. Pick up 2 15s. I'm going to go through this top 15 here in the middle, and I'm going to go from right to left through that bead. Okay. I'm going to go up through the 15 right above where the thread is exiting, through the 2 15s that I just added, which are going to be these two here. And then you're going to come through the 11 here to your right. Okay. This last box for that row is going to use 2 11s. We're going to come down through this side 15. And then through 3 11s. So we're going to go through 1, 2, and 3. All right. So at this point, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows on the right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the middle, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the left side.
So I know that there are some of you, especially Nadine, Adrian, and Betsy, who are going to kill me for making you do the right angle weave like this with the 2 different sizes of beads. They were actually my inspiration for this project because we did a project together and they had a really hard time using the different beads. So I thought, what a great way to get some practice at this. Now, I know that there are some of you who are going to say, okay, well, why can't I do the whole row of 11s, then come back and do the whole row of 15s, and then do the whole row of 11s? You can do that, but your beadwork will not come out as tight, and it won't be as tight on the hoop. If you want to keep your beadwork tight and you want it to lay really nice and straight and tight on these hoops, you'll want to do it working up like I've showed you here in these first 5 rows. You're going to continue doing it just like I showed you until you have 32 rows. And the way that you're going to count your rows is just like I showed you, where we can count the beads along the edges to have those 32 rows of beads.
If you pulled your tension correctly and you've got your 32 rows, it should be about a 3-inch strip of beads as shown here. On my last row, I am, instead of going through all 3 11s, I've just come out of the little side 11 here, so I've only went through 2 11s instead of going through the 3. This is where your hoop is now going to come into play. So I'm going to open up the hoop and I'm going to put the beadwork right to the inside of the hoop, and then I'm going to close that. Okay? We want to make sure you get a good open and close on that hoop. Now I'm going to start the hoop right here at the top. You see there's a little ledge here, and that's exactly where I'm going to start the connection between them. So I'm going to kind of fold it over like this. All right. And this is where we're going to be using our 2 millimeters. I'm going to pick up 1 2 millimeter. I'm coming out on the left 11-0. I'm going to come over here to the adjacent right 11-0, and I'm going to come down through that bead. I'm going to pick up 1 2 millimeter. I'm going to come across to the left, and I'm going to go up through the 11-0 that I was originally exiting and pull this thread. Now these first couple of ones you do, you're going to see it's really loose, but the more that you do, the tighter it's going to be around your hoop that you're doing. All right,
So now I need to get into position to add my next 2 millimeter. So I'm going to come through the 2 millimeter to the right, down through the 11 on the right, through the 2 millimeter on the left, and then down through the next 11 on the left. So through the 2 millimeter to the right, and I'm going to put my finger on that as I pull. Now see, I'm pulling it nice and tight, straight out of the bead, exactly the way it's coming out. I'm going down through the 11 on the right, and again, I'm going to put my finger on it. Through the 2 millimeter to the left, put my finger on it. And then down through the next 11 to the left, which is going to be this very next one right here. Okay, I'm going to pull this back up here, get it back into position. All right. Now, a 2 millimeter. I'm going to come to the next right, 11 0, and I'm going to go through just that one bead. Okay. Now I'm going to go through the 2 millimeter to the left, the 11 0 on the left, the 2 millimeter to the right that I just put on, and the next 11 0 on the right. So the 2 millimeter to the left, through the next 11 0 on my left, that's the same one that I went through to add these beads here, through the 2 millimeter to the right, and then down through the next 11 0, which is going to be the third 11 0 on the strip. Now at this point I can feel it kind of getting tight on my beadwork, and you still have this long strip down here, and that's okay. We're going to zip it up, and the more we do, like I said, the tighter it's going to get around here. Pick up a 2 millimeter. I'm going to come through the adjacent 11 0 over on the left, which is going to be the third one, and I'm going to go up through that bead. Okay, so this is what I've got so far. So I'm going to go through the 2 millimeter to the right, down through the 11 0 on the right, through the 2 millimeter to the left, which will be the one I just added, and then the next 11 0 on the left. So through the 2 millimeter to the right, like I said, put your finger on it, and this is going to help to keep everything tight as you work. And this is, to me, when you're first getting it and you've got this long strip of beadwork, you have to pay attention that you don't get it caught. And you also want to be careful right here. Let me see if I can get it to zoom in. There we go. You see right there, I got a thread right there. You want to be careful not to get those threads caught around these 11 0s as you work. Okay, I'm going down through the 11 0 on the right, through the 2 millimeter to the left, put my finger on it here, and then through the next 11 0 on the left. If you're more of a step-by-step pattern person, what I'm telling you, I'm going step-by-step by my pattern that you can find on my website at offthebeadedpathbeadstore.com. So I'm going to pick up a 2 millimeter. I'm going to come across to the 11 0 on the right, and I'm going to go up through that bead. I'm going to go through the 2 millimeter to the left, the 11 0 on the left, the 2 millimeter to the right, the one I just added, and then down through the next 2 millimeter, to the next 11 on the right. This is what's going to get us into position to add the next 2 millimeter. And like I said, you can see that as I go through, especially these 2 millimeters, I keep my fingers on them and pull straight out, so that way you can get good tension. I have several people who've contacted me lately about how to get good tension. This is a really good way to do it. So I have my 2 millimeter. I'm going to come across to the left and go up through the adjacent 11 0 to the left. I'm going to pull this straight up. I'm going to go through the 2 millimeter to the right, down through the next 2 millimeter, through the 2 millimeter to the left, and then down through the next 11/0 on the left. So I'm going to get into position, and I'm going to show you one more time, adding these beads, and then I'm going to let you continue to work. So through the 2 millimeter to the left, and then down through the next 11/0 on the left. So last time I'm going to show you again, 2 millimeter. I'm going to come up to the 11/0 on the right, and I'm going to go up through that bead. Just always make sure you're going through the adjacent bead across from you, so that way it keeps everything exactly like you want it. If you don't keep it straight, you're going to get to the other end and have no beads left on one side and excess beads on the other side. Okay, so at this point it will still move, but you want to keep it in place because, like I said, the more you do, the tighter this is going to get around the ring. So I've added all of my 2 millimeters, and I'm coming out of the last 2 millimeter I added here on the bottom. So at this point, when you look at it, you can see all the holes on the side where we have the space, and you can see that the spacing is uneven. That's where we are going to put in the 15s and really straighten everything out and make it look really nice. So again, I'm coming out of the last 2 millimeter, and you can see here that I cannot move this on the piece. So if you can move yours, if it moves around really easily, then you've not pulled it tight enough, because this one is stiff on here, like it's not moving. So coming out of the last 2 millimeter, I'm going to pick up a 15, and I'm going to go through the 11, the 15, and the 11 here of this last little box. So the 11, the 15, and then the 11 of the last box. Then I'm going to pick up one 11, and I'm going to go through the bottom 2 millimeter one more time. Okay, so you can see that puts a little 15 on each side of that bead. And we want that there because, especially if you are a loosey-goosey beader, you really want to do this, and you want to go through this several times to reinforce these beads, because this, if you have done it loose and you can move your beadwork around, this is what's going to help to really hold it tight and hold it into place where you're at. So at this point, I know I've stitched mine really, really tight. It's not going to move. So I'm coming out of the last 2 millimeter, and I'm just going to come right up through the next 11 on this right-hand side. Now, there are a few things you need to be aware of at this point. Number one is when you go through your beads, be careful that you're only going through the beads. Sometimes you can get your thread caught or your needle caught in between the thread here, between your 2s and your 11s. And if you do that, the 15 will not lay nice. Also, this is going to be the point to where I was telling you, you really want a seed bead that has a nice rounded shape rather than one that might be more irregular or squared off. So you're just going to pick up a 15 and go through the next 11. And you want to pull this. Now, you don't want to pull it super tight. You just want to pull it enough to pop the bead into place. Now I'm going to pick up a 15, whoop, go through the next 11. And zoom back in here. Ha, there we go. Okay, 15, go through the next 11. And you're going to do this all the way up. Now, if you get to a bead that doesn't have a lot of spacing in between it, it seems like maybe your 11/0 might be a little irregular, or maybe your 15/0 might be a little irregular. You can pull that bead in place to, like kind of pull it a little bit tight to pop it into place. But other than that, if you go through and it looks like it's not fitting into place, either you need to change your seed bead or you've went under one of these little threads that I was talking about, because they should pop right into place just like this. So we're going to go all the way up on this one side, adding our 15s in between the 11s. And again, you can see the care I'm taking to make sure that I don't go under any threads here in between my beads. So just go ahead on this one side and put in your 15s, and when you get back to the other side, come out of the first 2mm
I've gone
all the way down one side of my piece and am now exiting the first 2mm that I threaded on. Again, I'm coming out of the 2mm, and just like the other end, we're going to pick up a 15 and go through the 11, the 15, and then the 11 on this side over here. And then we're going to pick up a 15 and go through the 2mm. Now on this side, this is where it won't be as tight because this is where we started the piece. So it's going to be a little bit looser. So on this side, I really probably will go through this several times just to pull it nice and tight so that I know it's not going to move whatsoever. And once you do that and you feel comfortable enough that it's not going to move and it's going to be nice and tight for you, then exiting out of that 2mm, you're going to go through the 11 here on this side, and then we're going to do the same thing. You're going to pick up a 15 and go through the next 11, then a 15 and go through the next 11. And just like we did on this first side, you're going to go down this one side, adding in your 15s. So at this point, I've gone down both sides, and I have all of my beads put in, and I'm ready to tie the thread off. So to do that, I'm just going to go through the 2mm here on the very end, and I'm going to wiggle the needle under the thread between my 2mm and my size 11 seed bead. Going to pull and leave just a little bit of a loop here. Then I'm going to stick my needle back through that loop and pull that thread. Then I'm going to go through these beads here on the end. These are the beads that I did my reinforcement with. So the 11, the 15, the 11, the 15, the 2mm, and then I'm going to run it through just a few beads here on this one side, and then I'm going to trim off that thread so that when you do the second one, this would be your completed pair. So again, just to kind of recap, this is with the 2mm fire polish. This is the pink yarrow and the peach coral 11-0. Then this was the turquoise with the avocado, and then the shaded spruce with the antique silver. Now I do want to show you, this is this is the very original one that I made, and you can see that I've used 11s all the way around. When you use the 11s, it moves very easily, so it's not tight. But I also use 3mm bicones, and when I get in here, you can see the space in between, but also the crystals don't sit 100% straight. They look very, very wobbly. So then I went and I did the 15s to the inside, and you don't see space like you do on here. They're closer together, but again, they don't sit exactly straight. You can see what they look like. So then I tried a different, these were, let's see, yeah, they're all Swarovski crystals, and you can see the blue one that I made, it's the same thing. Your crystals are in there, but they don't sit nice. These are really, really pretty on your ears, and again, these are 3mm bicones. They're really pretty, but up close, they are not half as good looking as your ones with the fire polish that sit exactly perfect like you need them
I hope
to.
you enjoyed learning today's video on how to make the new Hoopla earrings. We do have the 3 colors that I showed you today, the finished ones, those 3 color kits, as well as all the materials, the hoops, and the PDF written pattern available on our website, which is offthebeadedpathbeadstore.com. This video is to be released on Thursday, June the 7th of 2018. Please understand that any kits or products talked about in this video are sold on a temporary basis. Colors and kits are subject to change at any time, and please be advised that if I spoke of any promotion or sale, it's date specific and may not be available at the time that you watch this video. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.